So I originally wasn't going to make a video about this, right? Because this happened probably like, what, I think about 2 days ago now when this first went down by the time you're watching this video. And I originally wasn't going to make a video about this because I've made so many videos over the last like couple months now about Hasan, and I don't want to make my channel, you know, just covering one person, you know? I don't want to become like Hasan himself, where all he does is like talk about how much he doesn't like Asmongold and talk about how Asmongold's been doing better when it comes to political streaming than he is, and how Asmongold's opinion doesn't really matter and it's not a good opinion, which we'll get into a little bit further into this video. But considering the amount of puff pieces that I saw in Hasan over today, like this was all over the internet, all over Twitter and all over YouTube as well, of the amount of articles that were covering, because if you don't know, a couple days ago now, Hasan got pulled over because he was in France doing some streams, doing his, as he likes to call it, journalist, which I find is really funny considering he calls himself a journalist, is that when he was on the way back and he was entering through the borders of America, is that he was pulled aside and questioned. Supposedly to him, he was asked many questions about his job, Trump, Israel, Houthis, Hamas, and even Twitch bans. That's right. Supposedly, they asked him a whole load of questions, and then not only that, is that then he was pulled over as well of when he was out, and he was severely asked more questions about his involvement. And all these puff pieces are making it out like this was a terrible thing. I saw this YouTube video as well, talking about how, like, you know, Hasan was questioned for his anti-Trump comments, and then you go into that video and you look at the comment section, and every single person in that comment is talking about how, oh my god, he's an American citizen, this is such a we're living in fascism, this is fascism, oh my god, this is fascism, this is a Nazi regime that we are going to be living in, which to me is absolutely fucking ridiculous. The fact that this headline and so many others are just blatantly going at it and saying that, oh, he was questioned for his anti-Trump opinions. There are so many people in America that I know that don't like Trump. And that is absolutely fair enough to not like him. That is absolutely fair enough to criticize him. But that is not the reason of why Hasan would have been questioned on the border. If he comes out and he says that he doesn't like Trump, you think that they give a fuck? No. Why was Hasan pulled over? Hasan was pulled aside because of the fact that he has been very vocal in the past about his support for the Houthis. And I know so many people already, I can see the comments from here. I've seen so many people on the internet talk about how, like, oh, well, the American way, the way that they label terrorism, it's completely flawed. And the fact that they label the Houthis as a terrorist organization, it doesn't exactly mean that they themselves are terrorists. Well, really? Okay then. How about you tell this guy right here that the Houthis themselves aren't a terrorist organization?
Hasan Piker, notorious terrorist sympathizers, just compared Anne Frank to the Houthis, who are ruining my home.
Do you think he's like Anne Frank?
Absolutely!
Your beloved Houthis killed my mom's best friend. Anne Frank never killed anyone. The Nazis killed her. Your beloved Houthis took over my country by force, not through democracy. Anne Frank never took over anything. She was hiding in an attic. Your beloved Houthis have been starving my people for more than 10 years. Anne Frank was starved by Nazis, like the ones that you support. Your beloved Houthis have imprisoned journalists and killed minorities. Anne Frank was a minority who was silenced and murdered for who she was. And as I am saying this, the Houthis are torturing the last remaining Jew in Yemen. And they're not torturing him because he's a Zionist or Israeli. The last remaining Yemeni Jew is actually anti-Zionist. So Hasan, before you make ridiculous anti-Semitic claims like this, grab a book or book a flight to Yemen. The terrorists that you support and interview on your platforms are the very same terrorists that make my family and friends in Yemen suffer. So let's be real, Hasan. You don't stand up for the peace, liberation, and freedom of the Middle East. You're just an anti-Semitic piece of shit.
So, are you and Hasan Pixar It Didn't Happen Piker gonna tell that guy who has first-hand experience in this whole entire situation that the Houthis are great people? How about the fact that Houthis, they are in belief of Sharia law, and Sharia law has many, many negative sides to it, one being the LGBT community. And when it comes to people that are gay, the Sharia law does not allow any of this. Sharia law in the past has actually killed many people who have been trying to push gay rights, and even to this very day, some of these countries still have the death penalty that inflict Sharia law, and even the ones that don't have the death penalty, they still physically abuse and punish these people just for being gay. And also when it comes to women's rights as well, is that they are very restrictive of what women can do, and they have to obey their husbands. Well, I don't know about you guys, but Hassan is meant to be a leftist, and this doesn't sound like many leftist values. As a matter of fact, to me, who I consider myself very much in the middle of when it comes to a lot of political things, because I have some things that I believe that are more right-winged, and then I have things that are more left-wing opinions. But when it comes to that, I definitely believe that if you're gay, go ahead and be gay. It doesn't bother me. You're a dude and you want to go ahead, bum some other dude. All power to you. Do whatever you want. And women should have every single opportunity that a man can have. But Sharia law doesn't want to allow this. And you know what? Houthis are the ones who want to implement this as well. And you might be asking me, well, Donnie, where are all these examples of Hassan supporting the Houthis? All right, he hasn't been that vocal when it comes to him supporting the Houthis. Well, how about we have this exhibit here, Exhibit A.
Dude, we think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
And then we have Exhibit B.
Dog, what do you look? You think I made this?
This isn't music. I know they're singing, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hassan.
No, it is. They do musicals about like their fucking like their actions all the time.
And if that's not enough, we also have Exhibit C.
You said Ethan's words can make him seem pro-Zionist and that he should be more thoughtful, but when he pointed out that your language can come off as supportive of terrorism, why not just admit that you're careless sometimes too to his fans? It made you look like you can't admit fault. I have no problem with the Houthis. Yeah, because I don't. What do you mean? If you think I'm a terrorism supporter for that reason, then yeah, I'm a fucking terrorism supporter. What are you talking about?
The funny thing about this when it comes to going back to when they call, this whole thing fascism, calling it about fascism. And the reason why they call it fascism is because they like to call people Nazis a lot, right? They say, oh, these people who are against Hassan, who are belittling Hassan, trying to go against the great word that he is putting out, they're all Nazis. Let's look at the definition of a Nazi, right? The definition of a Nazi is the member of the far-right National Socialist German Workers' Party from World War II, led by the infamous mustache man that everyone hate. And I hate when people use this word because my family was directly affected by these people because my great-grandmother and her family are Polish. That's right, I have a little bit of Polish heritage in me. And they were actually in Europe, in Poland still, during World War II. And they were captured by the Germans during that time and forced into concentration camps and only weren't killed because they were Jewish. Oh, and speaking of Jewish people, that's right. These Nazis were very anti-Semitic, killing millions and millions of Jews. And you want to know who else is anti-Semitic? The Houthis. So I don't know why these people, including Hassan, because I've seen him use it multiple times, calling other people Nazis and fascists. Well, if anything, the people that you support are closer to Nazis than the people that you go against, because they themselves are, a matter of fact, anti-Semitic. And one thing of when it comes to fascism as well, is that fascism, a lot of the times, they will try to minimize the opposition speaking out, right? That's also what these people are on about, is that, oh, they arrested Hassan. They got him because he's trying to speak out against the current regime, because the current regime is trying to lean in towards fascism. Well, Hassan was out at a university doing a little speech, which, I've watched a couple clips from it. It isn't great. And he himself talks about how he feels like Asmongold shouldn't have a political opinion.
Wondering what made you, I know it's kind of natural to your interest. Why do you think talking about politics works for you on the platform? Like, what are the ways that you have learned to kind of crack that space if others haven't?
Yeah, at first I wanted people to talk about politics because I thought like there were a lot of progressive people out there. I thought it was like good to show that progressive politics is not shameful, that people shouldn't be afraid of speaking their opinions on these matters. And then Asmongold became the largest political content creator on the platform, and some people know who that is, but he is a right-wing commentator now, the biggest right-wing commentator in North America, actually. And now I'm like, maybe don't talk about politics. It's better if they stay apolitical. But for the most part, I think like the apolitical nature of this space is just a way to shelter your more reactionary tendencies in general. I think people say that they're apolitical, or they say that they're operating off of common sense beliefs, but usually that just simply means you're right wing and not open about it. At least in my experience.
Yeah.
That's why I'm making a video about all of this, right? Is because you have this motherfucker who goes out on a daily basis, pumps up the Houthis and these terrorist organizations like they are the greatest saviors in the world. And this isn't me in no way defending the IDF. I have spoken multiple times whenever I've talked about this situation that I don't defend the IDF. I think that when it comes to both sides, they're both bad, and you should be able to criticize both sides of this war, because the war that's been going on is terrible. Both sides have been killing innocent people. The IDF has just gone ahead and bombed Gaza and just not given a fuck about the amount of innocent people that they have killed. And then you've got the Houthis and Hamas that have gone ahead and killed Jews as well. And then not only that, is that they are using the Palestinian people as a fucking human shield. They are sheltering themselves under civilian territory so that they make themselves look better when the IDF tries to kill them and then kills innocent people instead. But no, this man comes on here, he sucks off these terrorists like they're the greatest thing, and then he plays the fucking victim all the time. You're not the victim. You are not the victim in this way ever. Of course, you're going to be questioned. How do you not think that you're going to be questioned when on so many occasions you have bumped up and said that these terrible people are great people? You've made it out like these Houthis are some saviors of the Middle East, that they are the great thing, that that if they win this whole entire war and the Houthis had to take over the Middle East, that it would be a fucking paradise for the Middle Eastern people, and that they have done nothing wrong whatsoever. Every single action that they do, whenever they go ahead and they capture an innocent boat that's just trying to pass by, no, that's them doing the right thing. If they kill any innocent people, that's them doing the right thing. They are freedom fighters. No, they're fucking not. No, they're not. They're not freedom fighters. They're terrible people, and they're closer to a Nazi than the people that you call Nazis. So you have to fucking stop it. Stop trying to play the victim. You got pulled over, pulled aside and questioned because on multiple occasions you have supported these terrible people. And then he has the audacity as well to come out and call people slop tubers. Call everyone who talks against him slop tubers.
These fucking dumbass slop tubers are actually playing with fucking fire.
I'm sorry, Hassan, but if there's anyone that's a slop tuber, it's you. Because you're the one who's trying to put out lies and plays the victim whenever they get called out. You're not the hero in this situation whatsoever. And anyone who's trying to puff him up and trying to play out like he's the victim in this situation, you're just as dumb. But I would definitely like to hear what you guys think about this whole entire situation down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Peace out.